Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone wrote a furious letter to God during their darkest moment, and God actually wrote back? Today, I'm going to tell you about a guy named Neale Donald Walsch, a 52-year-old American homeless man. When he was digging through trash cans for food, he never could have imagined he'd become a globally renowned author because of his conversations with God, let alone that these conversations would completely transform our understanding of existence itself. Hey everyone, welcome to Zen Go. Walsch's story sounds like a Hollywood script, but this actually happened. This guy was actually a social elite when he was younger. He'd been a radio host, newspaper journalist, and even started his own business. By all accounts, he should have been the template for a life winner, but fate just loves to play cruel jokes. In his 40s, one disaster after another hit. Business failure, serious financial losses, marriage breakdown, and finally, a severe car accident. This series of blows knocked him straight from the clouds into hell. By the time he was almost 50, this former elite had completely become a street vagrant. I'm talking about the kind of beggar who literally searches through garbage cans for food. But here's where it gets weird. Walsch noticed his bad luck wasn't random. It followed a pattern. Every time he tried to change his situation, things would take a turn for the absolute worst. But if he did nothing at all and just lay flat as a beggar, he was relatively safe. It was like some mysterious force was deliberately working against him, trying to push him toward a dead end. As a devout believer, Walsch started suspecting God was messing with him. He lived in pain and anger every day, completely unable to find any meaning in being alive. Until one day, things took a turn. He found a newspaper in a trash can with a job ad. Campground looking for a DJ, $50 a day. Walsch, who was starving, decided to give it a shot. And you know what? He actually got the job. Not because he was particularly great, but because everyone else who applied had long hair, and his scruffy look didn't stand out at all. And that's how Walsch began his comeback. In 6 months, he went from $50 a day to $1,000, $200 a month income, even rented a small apartment, moving from the streets back into a house. Sounds pretty inspiring, right? But here's the ironic part. Just when his life was starting to improve, he fell into the deepest despair of his life. One morning around 4 a.m., he suddenly woke up feeling extremely sad and depressed. He thought, I'm working so hard, putting in 10 plus hours a day. Was it all just to go from the roadside back to this little broken down place? At 50-something years old, is my destiny really to work myself to the bone here? This despair was even more intense than when he was a beggar, because when he was begging, he'd completely given up, so there wasn't as much pain. But now he had a little hope. Yet he realized how pathetic that hope was. The contrast made him even more devastated. Right at that moment, he saw a pen and paper on the table. Walsch, furious beyond belief, decided to write a letter to God and vent all his resentment. In the letter, he cursed up a storm. Why are you torturing me like this? Who are you? What gives you the right to treat me this way? Who the hell do you think you are? After finishing this letter full of rage, a miracle happened. Walsch suddenly heard a voice from near his right brain. Do you just want to vent your anger, or do you actually want to know the answers? He was startled because there was clearly no one else in the room. He thought he might have developed multiple personality disorder, but quickly realized that wasn't it. The voice was very clear, spoke very fast, and used completely different vocabulary and tone than his own. Plus, he could remember the entire conversation process, which doesn't match the symptoms of personality disorder. From that day on, every morning at exactly 4:15 to 4:20 a.m., this voice would wake him up right on time and talk with him. Walsch asked all his questions, and the voice provided answers. These conversations continued for a full year, and the content was compiled into 3 books called Conversations with God. Now here's the key question. What exactly was this voice? Walsch believes it was God, but regardless of whether you believe in God or not, the content of these conversations really does challenge our understanding of the meaning of existence. First, about why Walsch was able to hear this voice. God's answer was pretty interesting. I didn't choose anyone. I'm talking to everyone 24/7. It's just that most people can't hear me. It's like AI training today. Data is flowing constantly, but only specific receivers can decode this information. The reason Walsch could hear was because God was using his language, this time, English. But how does God usually communicate with us? Through 4 ways: feelings, thoughts, experiences, and language. Language is used the least because human language is too low-dimensional to carry high-dimensional information. This viewpoint is actually pretty common in Silicon Valley. Many AI researchers believe that true intelligent communication shouldn't rely on language, but should be direct information transfer. Language is just an inefficient interface, like how we use text to talk with AI now, but the AI's thinking process is far more complex than words. God says it mainly communicates with us through emotions. Have you ever had those sudden, strong feelings that surge up, but you can't explain why? That might be high-dimensional information being transmitted to you through the interface of emotion. The second type is thought communication, those images, fragments, and scenes that occasionally flash through your mind. These aren't your imagination, but information from higher dimensions. The third type is experiential communication. All the experiences and memories in your life. Every experience isn't random, but is conveying some kind of information to you. Only when extremely important information needs to be transmitted, and the first 3 methods can't achieve it, does God use language. Because language is too easily misinterpreted, like the Bible and Buddhist scriptures. Even though they use human language, how many people can truly understand what they mean? So, what exactly does God want to tell us? The core message is actually pretty simple. This universe originally had only one existence, itself. But because the entire universe was itself, it couldn't know what it was or perceive its own existence. To solve this problem, it split itself into countless small pieces, and through these pieces observing each other, it could understand itself. And we are one of those countless pieces. We are fragments of God and also fragments of the universe. This theory has similar expressions in modern physics. Quantum entanglement theory suggests that all particles in the universe might be interconnected, and seemingly independent individuals are actually components of a larger system. According to this theory, our only purpose for existing is to experience and feel, whether it's happiness or pain, success or failure. To God, it's all precious experiential data. It needs to understand what sweet is, what bitter is, what love is, what hate is through our experiences. This explains why there's so much unfairness in this world. It's not that God plays favourites, but that it needs contrast to generate feelings. If everyone were happy, it wouldn't know what happiness is. If everyone were wealthy, it wouldn't know what poverty is. It sounds cruel, But God says this kind of sacrifice isn't really sacrifice. To it, just an experience. We're like probes launched into the universe. Our function is to collect information and transmit it back. A probe doesn't feel pain when it detects cold, because that's just its job. This metaphor reminds me of autonomous vehicles today. Every car is collecting road condition data and transmitting it back to the cloud to help AI learn. Individual vehicles might encounter various unpleasant situations, but for the overall system, these are all valuable learning materials. So should we still try to improve our lives? God's answer is, of course, but not because I'll help you, but because that's also an experience. I don't participate in your life planning. I'm just an observer, experiencing this world through your body. So is praying to God useless? It's not useless, but the method is wrong. There's only one effective kind of prayer: gratitude. Gratitude shows you've already accepted reality, and God can feel this emotion. But asking shows you haven't accepted reality yet, and God can't receive this kind of signal. This reminds me of a Silicon Valley principle. Focus on what you can control. You can't control God's decisions, but you can control your attitude toward experiences. Walsch finally asked a very important question. What happens after death? God said there's reincarnation, and you get to choose before reincarnating. You can choose what to be reborn as, even which planet to be reborn on. Because there are many Earth-like environments in the universe, and God needs different planets to get different experiences. Interestingly, God says truly advanced civilizations are actually more like animals, completely in harmony with nature, without the concept of ownership. Humans invented the concept of property and then started killing each other, which God considers pretty stupid behavior. Hearing this, you might ask, if we're just sensors, what's the point of individual effort? The answer is, the meaning lies in the feeling itself, your process of striving, the joy of success, the disappointment of failure. These are all experiential data that God needs. You don't need to live for some external goal. You just need to fully experience life, and that's enough. This viewpoint actually aligns with a lot of philosophical thinking in Silicon Valley today. Many successful entrepreneurs say they don't do things for money or fame, but to experience the process of creation. Results matter, but every feeling in the process is what's truly valuable. So how can we better fulfill this mission as sensors? Simple. Honestly face your feelings. Don't suppress them. Don't avoid them. When you're happy, fully enjoy the happiness. When you're in pain, completely experience the pain. And you don't need to deliberately seek out Akashic records or some high-dimensional information, because the connection is always there. Information is being transmitted 24/7, and you're constantly transmitting your feelings to God. Most importantly, don't use language. Use feelings. Language is too misleading. Feelings are the most authentic information carriers. Alright, that's what I wanted to share with you today about these core ideas from Walsch's Conversations with God. Whether you believe in God or not, this story at least reminds us that maybe the meaning of our existence is the experience itself. Every feeling you have is unique and precious. Don't easily dismiss any emotion you experience. Whether you strive or lay flat, succeed or fail, these are all valuable experiences. The key is to face them honestly and feel them fully. If these ideas resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe so more people can see these thoughts. Next time, we'll continue exploring this amazing world. See you later.